movie review, 1958's Cowboy. It's based on a book written by Frank Harris called My Reminiscences as a Cowboy. It's directed by Delmer Davies, and it stars Glen Ford as Tom Reese, Jack Lemmon as Frank Harris, Anna Kashfi plays Maria Vidal, Harris's love interest, Brian Donlevy plays Doc Bender, and there are a few other characters who are members of Reese's gang. Now, Reese buys and sells cattle. He moves up and down the trail with the herd from Mexico up to Chicago. And we meet him as he's arriving at a hotel after having completed one of his runs with beef cattle. He's got money in his pocket because he's sold the herd, and he's looking for fun. Him and his crew get installed into the hotel with some of the things that they didn't experience on the trail, such as whiskey, a nice hot bath, and the opportunity to really let their hair down. He then meets Lemon, who's a desk clerk. Now, he has been smitten by a relationship with Maria, and he wants to marry her. However, when he approaches her father, the father, who's also in the cattle trade, he lives down in Mexico, he's given short change and told to clear off, as he isn't up to the standards to marry the Mexican attractive young woman. So what happens then is that Harris thinks, well, I better join a cattle run, and so he persuades Reese, who's just lost a lot of money playing poker, that he's prepared to invest in the next purchase of cattle down in Mexico, as long as he can go along for the ride. And that's basically the plot. The rest of the movie, well, the main part of the movie is us witnessing what happens when they go down to Mexico, and more importantly, what happens when they come back with the herd. It paints a rather more accurate picture of what being a cowboy is, rather than the romantic notion of lording it with women, drinking whiskey all day. Reese is very much a character full of energy, self-confident, and he works and plays hard. He's a typical cowboy, and he's not slow in telling Lemon the realities of life on that trail. Lemon experiences a number of shocks once he starts work on the trail, but starts to respond positively. And the relationship between Harris and Reese almost becomes teacher stroke pupil, and to an extent father and son, although there are aspects of Lemon's character where he tends to be rather short with Ford when Ford tries to put him in his place. We experience in a number of incidents on the trail, and there's one incident late at night where one of the gang decides on some horseplay with a lethal snake that's in the camp area, and this leads to the snake biting one of the cowboys, who dies. And we then experience the harsh reality as the gang stand round at the burial, and a few words from Reese about what it's like to be a cowboy on this run. It's quite moving, I have to say. When they arrive in Mexico, of course, immediately Harris cast his eye again on Maria, but unfortunately she has quickly been forced to marry a Mexican, and immediately some tension exists between the two men. We also see a sort of rodeo event where a raging bull, appropriate statement, is put in against a Mexican who has to put a red rag on the horn, and then Reese jumps into the ring, preventing Harris's hot-headed emotions to take on the role, and he also completes the task on foot, having seen that the Mexican's horse was badly hurt by the goring of the bull. We then witness the return with the cattle. There's a sort of rather irrelevant subplot when the Comanches try to steal some of the herd, and I didn't really quite understand why that was thrown in. A touch of racism, as always, I suspect, with these westerns. Although, having said that, it was a quite enjoyable watch. Lemmon and Ford work very well together. Eventually they return to the hotel, and of course Harris is gloating because he's now acquired the same type of behavior, the same level of skills as his teacher Reese, and is rather full of himself as they settle down to those luxuries of the bath and the whiskey. So there we have it. Cowboy, a nice little movie, released in 1958.